Welcome to the Nerd Social Club podcast, episode 111, and it has been a very, very busy week. It always is when the Super Bowl rolls around. It always creates a lot of news. A lot of news for me and Aaron to talk about. There's a lot of trailers, but there's also a lot of other things like, celebrity adverts and just people use the Super Bowl as the conduit to put the news out, to put it, even if they put something out that they don't, is not really anything to do with the Super Bowl or hasn't got a trailer or hasn't got an advert. You put a little hashtag Super Bowl on it and someone will go and look for it and find it through the power of social media these days. So lots to talk about, Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely. I obviously you and I were trying to post all the trailers as they were happening, and my phone took an absolute beating. I had to sit there with it like plugged in, just trying to get all like the trailers as they were coming on. Like, oh, this is a good one. I'll post this one out. Which it's interesting because I don't think most people will ever realize like the ins and outs of social media unless you do kind of what we do on our end. But yeah, it's been an interesting week. Lots of stuff posted. I mean, lots of internet traffic. Anytime you're leading up to any big event, there tends to be increased flow of all kinds of stuff. News, like Paramount Plus and Netflix and HBO Max have dumped a ton of news in this past week, and there's trailers and all sorts. So yeah, hey, it benefits us. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah. Sometimes you just wish it's like, sometimes you just wish if they'd like leave it over a week, you know what I mean? Just have a think about it, don't have to do it all this week. It might get lost in the in the bulk of news. Why not just pace yourselves, lads or girls?
Well, I think about pre-pandemic and trying to do Comic-Con. And like just sitting there for a weekend, like this, you do this, I'll do this. There's just so much news coming out to try and cover. It's ridiculous, but it's fun times.
It is. Yeah, I watched Reacher this week, and it was very good.
How was it?
It was very good. It's better than Tom Cruise, even though Tom Cruise is all right, but it's very, very good. It's very, very good. It's well worth watching. Very easy program to watch, and fun and a little bit of mystery and lots of action. Quite brutal in parts, but it's a really, really easy show to watch if you're looking for something to check out. It's over on Amazon Prime, so again, lots of shows drop, but that one is really, really good and very true to the books I hear as well. So definitely give that one a watch if you are looking for a show to just start up and get into. 8 episodes, I think. Yeah, and as I say, very easy.
I was going to say, is it already like all the episodes are out now as well?
Yeah, they dropped it all in one go actually, which is unusual for Amazon. They normally do one a week, but no, they actually did do it all in one go, which is, I don't know why they did, but there you go.
I was going to say, I think it's smart. I think we've talked about that before. Like, I don't think not every show can do a week to week, and not every show, like you lose some if you just drop it and do the Netflix model. So having a combination of both based on the show, I think works best. Like, you know what I mean? Like some shows, like you need that like weekly suspense from episode to episode. Oh, what's going to happen next?
Maybe it's because it wasn't a much typed show, and it isn't a much typed show, and it was that think of like the binge watch is because it's good. Whereas if you dropped it maybe once a week, people may forget about it or lose interest. Don't get me wrong, like you want to watch the next one straight away, but that's normally the thing that keeps you coming back for the week after. But maybe they just thought because it wasn't a well-known show that if they put it all out there at once, it'll grab. And also very much like what we're talking about now is because of the way the news cycles are sometimes, if you drip feed these shows, they might not get the traction. Whereas if you drop it all at once, everyone's online going, oh, have you watched Reacher? You've got to watch Reacher. Check out Reacher. It's great. Sometimes there is a strategy for shows to allow that and make sure you hit it all at once.
I mean, it could be just that, like, maybe within house at Amazon Prime, they were looking at it and were like, we're not quite sure how well this is going to do. It should be decent, but we're not sure if it will quite get the reach. Kind of like, I guess, what Netflix originally thought with Stranger Things, which we'll talk about later. But, like, when obviously that was first dropped, there wasn't really a lot of advertising around it. And they were like, oh, yeah, it's a good show. It'll do well. Just give it time. no one expected it to blow up quite like it did. But maybe that's the same with Reacher. They weren't quite sure how it would be received. And like, let's just throw it out there. Because like you said, if they dropped it week to week, it might have been kind of drowned out by some of the other content that's out and around at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely worth checking out. And as I say, very easy to watch. Good performances by everyone who's in it. And, you know, it has got that little bit of a feel of like a throwback show. Like, I was like trying to explain it to someone. I was like, it's like the A-Team if the A-Team were just one guy. Like, literally, it is, because he's got the brute strength. Yeah. He's also very clever. He's a good-looking fella, and he seems slightly mad. He's not, but he seems slightly mad. It's like, and then he just rolls up into a town that's got a corrupt. It's got some corruption in it, and it needs someone to come in and clean house. And who also got a bit of a murky past. So if you think about it like that, if you think about the A-Team, but it's just one guy, you'll understand what.
I was going to say, and I think Alan Richardson, I think he's a good actor. Like, I think he deserves, you know, a bit more focus in his own shows, because I know he's been in Titans, and that's not exactly super popular amongst everyone, but he's good in that. He's been in a few other things. I've
Who
liked
is he
him.
in Titans?
He's Hawk.
Oh,
so there's a character called Hawk and Dove that were like kind of together.
Because he was Aquaman, wasn't he, in Smallville?
He was, yeah.
But he was
back. And he's done a lot of comedy roles as well. He's been
he's done a lot of weightlifting.
Yeah,
I know that.
Massive.
Jesus Christ. He is
Do
unbelievable.
you know he was in the Hunger Games as well?
He was, yeah. But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's he's definitely been on the clop juice. But I say lots to talk about, but we're going to try and stick to just the main talking points tonight so that we don't get bogged down. We want to get into things. One trailer that jumped on this week was the Adam Project Netflix film coming out next month featuring Ryan Reynolds. That looks good, doesn't it? That looks fun.
It just looks like fun. It looks like kind of like, not like where you'd say like typical Netflix film. It's kind of like a step up. It's very entertaining, because I don't know if you've noticed, but Netflix is actually getting a bit more traction with some of their movies. Some of them have been nominated for Oscars at the moment, and they seem to be up in their profile.
I think they've definitely, because I looked at, there was like a little multi-trailer, wasn't there, video the other week, which was like all the films that were coming out. And I think they definitely made the decision to up their game on films, because I think what they were looking at was that, yes, they've made a lot of like hokey films that people watched because people will watch Netflix films. But I think they've looked at what's happened in the last year and gone, right, well, we've got an audience now. Or the audience is it's not staying home, but they're looking at it and going, people. See, I think in the last couple of years, people have got very used to a lot of different things. I know in like sort of the world I work in, people are now using like Zoom and are having video conferences and doing video calls all the time, and it's becoming a very easy thing. It's accepted in the media to have people on a screen behind them, even if the quality's crap. No one cares. In the old days, that wouldn't have happened, and it's just happening more and more. These little changes in society because of what's happening in COVID, things are becoming a little bit more acceptable. And I think what's happened with COVID is, certainly for someone like Netflix, is they're not necessarily going out and saying, right, we're going to buy the rights to a certain type of film. It's not that at all. I think beforehand they only had, and Disney Plus probably fell into this category as well, and all the streaming sites actually, there was a certain kind of film that they'd get, which was the film that probably wasn't likely to make too much money at the box office. Well, I think now for the next couple of years, I think what you're going to find is a lot of these companies are going to get really good top end films, because the companies, the big companies, are a little bit nervous about releasing them in cinemas because of the way our habits have changed, the way we consume things has changed, just lifestyle changes. Not as many people are going out as much. They're not going to cinemas. They're not going to restaurants as much, and it'll come back eventually. But in that meantime, there needs to be some. I don't know about you, but I've seen the rise in You know, I think it's like things like in America it's called DoorDash. Over here it's called Just Eat. We've got Uber Eats. We've got Deliveroo. A lot more people are now getting good food delivered to the houses, so they don't have to go out to restaurants. You add that in.
Oh yeah, because there's certain restaurants that you could never ever get takeout from. It's like dine-in only. But now everyone's like, no, we'll deliver,
we want to be part of it. So a lot more
people.
people now are getting like good food delivered to them. And they want good movies while at home or good TV shows. And also that's the other side of it. The better the TV shows have got on streaming platforms, it's like someone's gone, well, shouldn't we be making good films as well? And this one really looks good. You know, it looks like it could be a cinema film. But
absolutely. I mean, did you see The Harder They Fall on Netflix? It was the all-black cast for The Cabin.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. The soundtrack was good. I mean, that should have been nominated for awards. It was fun. It was fantastic. And then Power of the Dog with Benedict Cumberbatch has just racked up like tons of awards leading up to the Oscars.
Yeah, because let's be honest, like we're still in that world of like, even though the world's starting to get like trying to like get back to normal, it's not back to normal. So why not for the next year? And listen, there are different levels to this as well, because of course there's a lot of films that have been made. I think the production company behind Matrix, they're suing HBO Max. I think it's Village Roadshow. They're suing because that film is expected to go out on obviously cinemas and do well, but it was released on HBO Max, which just essentially means it can be pirated everywhere, and it can be everywhere.
I mean, some of that though feels like a bit of a cop out though as well, because the movie just wasn't well received. Like it just didn't do. It wasn't a great movie, so it feels like it's a.
Yeah, but the difference is though, people got to make that decision, and it cost them absolutely nothing. Whereas if they'd gone to the cinema, it would have cost like, you know, for 2 tickets like $30 or something, or like, you know, whatever. So that's the difference. They can make that up. They can make that decision themselves. But I think films like this they are good films that are just going to go to streaming platforms for the next year or so. And then that comes down like to the real battle of what goes in cinemas, what doesn't go in cinemas. Are we still going to have, these kind of films going to cinemas, or is it going to be big films? Because obviously this week Spider-Man No Way Home is now the third biggest domestic film of all time
past Avatar
in the US. And that suggests that people will go to cinema for
the right
film. And also, obviously, the other side of that as well, and this might make a difference. I don't know if it makes a difference, but because Spider-Man doesn't have any kind of streamer platform, and obviously wasn't similar, there's no way pirating it. There's no way no one could get to see that film in the short term without going to see it on the cinema, and because it was an event as well. And I think, you know, again, we'll talk about Doctor Strange, which is building up to that, it seems, as well. People want to see these things. They want the shared experience, because we all have been inside. We want to feel that shared experience. But I do think you're going to get a real glut of films coming out, because the other side of it is you'll have had a shed load of scripts sitting on tables in the last year that were waiting to be greenlit, and they've all been made, or they were made before the pandemic and never got onto cinemas. And now is the time to get them out. And Netflix they're just gonna eat it up, aren't they? Because they know it's that kind of new IP versus traditional IP, which is all on Disney Plus. So it's very interesting, very interesting. It looks great. It looks really good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think Ryan Reynolds just has that little like slot where, you know, pretty much anything he's in, people will go watch. Like, it doesn't always have to be fantastic, but this one looks pretty decent. I mean, he seems invested into it.
He's playing Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
And that's it. Once you're an actor and you've hit that place where you just play yourself, then people will come and see you in anything, because you are that person. It's like, you know, I think I don't know who the first one was. The first one I can sort of remember was like, it was like the Sean Connery effect. That Sean Connery played Sean Connery, and then it's just escalated from there for me. From a lot of, I mean, sure there was people before that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say it is going to be interesting, like you said, for Netflix coming up here for 2022, because I mean, I think they've got the second Knives Out film as well.
Yeah.
Coming directly to Netflix. That's a big film.
Well, haven't they paid like $90 million for, I think, about 5 Knives Out films? Like they're big films. Like they are big films, and we're gonna get more.
But I was gonna say the ensemble cast they've put towards that as well. Like it's kind of like John Hammond, spare no expense, just buy them all.
Does that make you slightly surprised then that this week we had the release of Murder on the Nile? Is it Murder on the Nile?
Yes.
And it's got like a really good cast. But are you surprised that got a cinema release, considering the kind of film it is and the kind of audience it would attract just at this time where we are at the moment?
Yeah. If I'm honest, I think from my side of things as a reviewer, because I've been working with Butweiler on film critics and stuff like that, and I know a lot. There's a big push for studios to try and get critics back into physical screenings, back to watch films. I know a bunch of critics actually this week have been to see The Batman, which not a lot of people talked about it, but you can tell it's been rave reviews so far. But there's definitely been a big push to that, and even some of the film festivals that are coming up throughout the domestic US, they're still not providing any kind of links. So it seems to suggest that it feels like a bump. Like it's almost like they're encouraged by how well Spider-Man's doing. Like, oh no, we can do this. We can get back into it. I think Spider-Man's it's its own little existence. Like, you can't compare other films next to that.
No.
It has to be worthy of an audience. It has to have hype or an actor or something that gets people like, I need to go see that in the cinema.
Well, Worthy Spoon, sorry, in the comments, he said actually they've paid $400 million for Knives Out. So there you go. I was a little bit short on my thing. No, you're absolutely right. Just on that very quickly, like, just because it's Tom Holland, but the Uncharted thing's weird, isn't it? It came out here last week, and the reviews of it didn't come out till this week because it's not on America. It's had mixed reviews. It is I think a lot of people, it goes from, I think, meh to, yeah, that's all right, that. So it's weird it's weird the way they've done that. They really have kept that to the, they really have kept that to that thing of, no, we're keeping it as close as we can. We don't want people to be swayed because it is like slightly diverse reviews on it. I haven't seen it, so I can't. The irony, I've got a free ticket to go and see it as well. I need to yeah, because when I got Uncharted 4, the remastered version, it got a free ticket, so I've got a free ticket for it as well, but I haven't been to see it. So, and that's getting released in China, isn't it? And I imagine getting released in China will probably give it enough of a bump that it'll get a second film. And I think once it gets it,
that's the thing. If you want to hope to survive financially, you have to have it released in China, and it's such a difficult tightrope to walk with everything going on politically with all that. So like, it's tough. But again, it just adds to the point you just made. Like, every film now, you have to really look under a lens and say, is this going to do well? Does it have traction online? Does it seem to have an audience that will go see it? And if not, you kind of have to say, okay, what's the best? And I think, as investors are going to start to look into where they put in their monies for, I think, studios are going to have to realistically look at these budgets and have to be a bit, either do it on the cheap or not necessarily on the cheap, but be a bit more cunning with how they get away. Because like I said, Star Wars was the same way. Star Wars, they got creative with it, right? And I think studios have just gotten too used to it. It's just like, just build whatever massive budgets, and then these huge films that just don't warrant it.
Something I have to give, won't it? But there you go. So interesting stuff. Let's get into some of the actual. Hang on, before we jump into like the Moonlight, let's get into Stranger Things. The Stranger Things poster was released today. Four posters, which sort of, if you join them together, create like an upside down squarey thingy malarkey, with different people in different places. And the tagline is what? Give me the tagline.
Oh, you put me on the spot now. I've forgotten. I think every ending has a beginning or something like that.
So does that suggest we're gonna find out how this all started?
Yeah, I've got to imagine like there's something, because I mean we've already seen it in like the first teaser trailer. Like, right, they go back into the 60s or whatever. So I think you and I had kind of surmised that there's probably some sort of origin to this, like where they were coming from, and it might be
Cold War as well.
the scientists themselves, like, you know what I mean, what's chosen to, something happened to push them down this this avenue, almost like you see it all the time with like the films trying to say like Hitler had this experimental science division. So like,
I hope there's Nazis involved. I really hope there's Nazis involved.
There's always Nazis. There's Russians in this one.
Nazis make films better, and when I say that, I think of like Indiana Jones. Think when you have like really horrible bad guys like that, you can and because Hitler's like fascination with the occult as well, it always makes it better. It always makes it better. Like,
okay. This is a really good point, and it's something I love talking about, because I feel like in this day and age we've gotten stuck on this thing of like, oh, we've got to humanize villains, we've got to make them more like compelling, and it's harder. Like, so many examples you can list off, but I've gotten to a point where I want to hate the bad guys. But the bad guys just nasty.
But the interesting thing, if you think about it, right, about the first Indiana Jones film and Last Crusade, right? If you think about those two films, then they don't humanize the Nazis in that, because there's two guys, isn't there, in both films? There's one in each film who are like, I'm using these guys. Do you know? I'm using.
It's like the money people, the obsessive.
Yeah. It's like so it's like types. I'm using these guys to get what I want. I'm not a Nazi. I'm a bad guy, but I'm not a Nazi. I'm not one of them.
I'm practical. These are just my goons.
Yeah, I'm just using the Nazis to get what I want, and so the Nazis are really the bad guy, and they're the ones you go, they're bad, but.
I mean, it's the same way really in Captain America with the Red Skull. He wasn't really a Nazi. He's just like, no, I'm just here with him. I just wanted to steal some of his army. Like, I just needed a force because I knew what I wanted.
I've got bad sunburn. I need to treat it. So Stranger Things, again, it's cool. But what's really interesting, going back to the conversation we had before about Reacher, is that it's coming out in two separate parts, and I wonder what the idea is behind that, because obviously, is it because they on the flip side of what we saw about Reacher is this show is so big that why blow it all in one go? Why have one big blowout when you can have two, and you can split and you can create two tempo events, and you can have that thing of like, we're gonna have get to episode 5, and then we're gonna have a break, and it's gonna have a big cliffhanger, or do you know what I mean? It's like I wonder why that reason is. It's because there must be a reason behind it.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say because it's one of those things with Stranger Things, though. Like, I think people forget about. Most of the seasons are only like 7-8 episodes long. Like, they're not long seasons by normal standards. Like, not even like 10. Not one season has made like 10 episodes, which is like kind of like the accepted streaming platform standard.
It was 9. I think 9 was the most, and that was because it had the extra episode.
Was that season 2? I think it was.
Yeah, when it was the extra episode for for when they went into the town and stuff, and like the X-Men.
Well, that's so. Yeah, no, and I think honestly, it's just building on the conversation we had before about Netflix of movies. They've looked and said, Stranger Things is huge. It does numbers. Like, people love it. So here, let's just go after it. And like the Duffer Brothers, like obviously, like they've always said, roughly about 4 to 5 to 6 seasons. Like, they were like no more than 6, no less than 4. And it's funny because we had a lot of people replying in the comments today. Like, I thought it was only 4 seasons. I'm like,
no, the original plan was 6, so they've gone to 5.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why it's gone to 5 is probably because of COVID, and probably because they haven't been able to make the shows as quick as they wanted to. So the kids have aged out.
Well, and now they're all in like bigger projects as well. You had Finn Wolfhard's been in a couple of things. Millie Bobby Brown's obviously been in a lot of things. David Harbour has been. So like, they're starting to lose some of it. So they probably just said, "Let's let's go out."
I think they've got them on the contracts. Don't worry about that. They would have got them under contracts in Series 2, but no, Series 5, which is going to be interesting because I wonder, again, like we did last time, I wonder if they've already made the Season 5 as well, and because the kids are... That's an interesting one. There was not interesting, as I say myself, because the kids are of an age now where they've already they're already at the age where actually I imagine another year wouldn't make any difference because they already look like late
starting
teenagers.
to
So it makes no real difference. But I wonder if they did make them back to back, and I wonder when we will get that. But
I was going to say the kids probably want to move on and do something different, though. It's kind of like that Harry Potter effect. They've grown up with this show being on the show.
Bastards! This show's made them. And you,
oh, I'm not saying that, but they can go on and do other things, can't they?
No, but listen, it's been amazing for them. But just one thing, on the post. So just on the posters, the poster, in Russia, is 11 on that poster.
Oh, I think it's what's the mum's name? It's Joyce. Will's mum, Joyce. It's Joyce,
in
and
Russia?
I don't know why, but it's her and the American guy who was helping them all out. The bald guy who was drinking all the vodka.
Yeah, the conspiracy theorist. I thought that was 11 when I looked at it before, but
no, I think 11 is the lab, because if you look at the four of them together,
she could be on both. She could be on both.
She could be. But the main poster, when it's the four of them together, the main focus is the lab and 11, like right in the middle, like she's prime spot.
Do you know what's really interesting? I've never rewatched Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah, not once.
As much as I love it, I've never rewatched any of it. It's a bit weird. It's just like because the show was so good. It was just like it didn't need repeat viewing for me. I don't know why. I imagine I will rewatch it up to the lead up, so I don't get that thing of what's going on here? Who's he? What's he doing? Why they live?
We did a rewatch of season 1 and season 2, leading up to season 3. So I'll probably do the same. It's just you watch over stuff and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about this little detail, and you start to see little things kind of like crossing over, and, like,
it is good if you leave enough time so that you forget all the details. But just on that, obviously, you're just saying there, this is series 4. We're getting to series 5. We don't know when that'll be, obviously, and whether that's been filmed or not or whatever. But you were saying the Duffer Brothers have put out a thing saying that there's more stories to tell. Now, that suggests to me, like you've just said there, that the kids have aged up and it might be time to move away from their story. But there is more stories to tell. There is a bigger world. There might be, and also what I like about that as well is if that's the way they do it, is that I think one of the big things about Stranger Things is obviously it's the time period. It's the 80s films. It's the little things that we all love about 80s films. If we keep going on with it, we're going to be in the 90s, and then it's crap.
Yeah,
it's not what we. I mean, you know, there's good.
There's only so much you can start tapping into, like the nostalgia, because it is like you see the shows and stuff like that. But more, I think Stranger Things did that very well, and they did it early on. But I think a lot of things now are starting to kind of like try and tap into that like old school nostalgic period, and like, hey, remember this, and like it almost becomes more like Easter eggs and nods than it is the story.
So if they do go back, I hope it is like they sort of stay in the 80s, but they focus on someone else, because it is one of those things. It's like, I remember when they made like Cloverfield, and they were saying, well, we could easily make another Cloverfield film with just someone else experiencing that night from a different point of view. And I wonder if it's the same with Stranger Things, where it could just be like somebody else could be experiencing this, you know, one of the other kids who was in the lab, or just somebody else, or the story of how the Russians got into it, and just introduce it to not a new set of kids, just different people who are experiencing.
Well, I was going to say, like, you've got 11, so there's 10 other kids, right? Like, if she's called 11, there's 10 other kids.
If she's called 11, there might be 20 kids. Could be 30 kids, 50 kids, 60 kids. Yeah. Get your ambitions higher, Aaron. Come on, get them higher.
Like just plowing through kids in this science factory.
It's the American government. They go through kids like Elon Musk goes through monkeys.
Well, I was going to say here's one. That's one facility. How many facilities are there?
Exactly. They'll be everywhere, of course. It's America. They've got facilities everywhere in the 80s.
It's America. They're always experimenting
They're always
on kids.
experimenting with kids or something or other. It's America. You know, let's get it right.
We don't believe in vaccinations, but
while they were doing it,
scientific.
And while they were doing, what were the communists doing? What were the communists doing while they were probably something much, much worse? America are doing it for the freedom of everybody, but the Russians are just doing it for communism. That's all it is. No, I can't wait. But there's not much to talk about though, because we've already spoke about it, and
well, I was going to say I did find the letter. So here's what the letter says that Netflix posted. It says, "Hi nerds, do you copy? It's been a little while. With 9 scripts, over 800 pages, almost 2 years of filming, thousands of visual effects shots, and a runtime nearly twice the length of any previous season. Stranger Things 4 was the most challenging season yet, but also the most rewarding one. Everyone involved is incredibly proud of the results, and we can't wait to share it with you. Given the unprecedented length, and to get it to you as soon as possible, season 4 will be released in 2 volumes. Volume 1, May 27th, volume 2, 5 weeks later. So that's the good news. It's coming soon. It's bigger than ever. It's also the beginning of the end. 7 years ago, we planned out the complete story arc for Stranger Things. At the time, we predicted the story would last 4 to 5 seasons. It proved too large to tell in 4, but as you'll soon see for yourselves, we are now hurtling towards our finale. Season 4 will be the penultimate season. Season 5 will be the last. So this is where it gets interesting. This final paragraph, it says, there are still many more exciting stories to tell within the world of Stranger Things. New mysteries, new adventures, new unexpected heroes. But first, we hope that you'll stay with us to finish off the tale of the powerful girl named Eleven and her brave friends. And it goes on to other stuff.
I wonder if that means...
But it was that kind of sentence.
I wonder if that means we're getting like 14 episodes then for this season.
Sounds like it, doesn't it?
So it is like a proper two season arc.
So essentially, it's basically kind of like 6 seasons.
That's what I was thinking.
Like, that's what I was thinking,
because I remember hearing a while ago that it was going to be 6 seasons, and I just wonder whether, because of COVID, they've basically made 4 and 5 together, and 5 is now essentially 6. And they've done a little bit of work on that, so that could make sense.
Well, and kind of like you said, with all of the production delays, with the kids going off and doing other things, like let's just knock it out.
It's also cheaper to do. If you could knock if you could get all these episodes for 4 and 5 done, in one go, it's so much cheaper for everyone as well. You've got people down all to get everything, so be interesting to see what happens.
I was going to say, I think more and more people are trying to do that as well. I mean, we obviously know with Avatar, they've already filmed Avatar 2, 3, and 4. So now they're just working on all the special effects. So it's done and ready to, because the motion capture is like the smallest piece of it. So yeah, it probably makes sense to just knock it all out.
It's much easier. And also, I'll tell you another thing about that as well. It keeps the technology consistent as well.
Yeah.
Because if you make films over certain years, look at the Avengers films, look at the Hulk. Look at the Hulk. He's gone through so many different looks because the technology's just got better and better. So it keeps a consistency. So really looking forward to Stranger Things. Right, let's get into Moon Knight. We got a little TV spot, and it looks really good. Looks epic. Kevin Feige came out and said like there's no punches being pulled in this one, quite literally. And it looks a little bit dark. If anyone's seen the Eternals and has seen the end credit scene,
post-credit scene,
mid-credit scene, I won't ruin what happens, but it obviously suggests a much darker set of stories.
I feel like it's been a little while. Can't we talk about that one? I'll leave it to you, so I'm not the bad guy.
Okay. If you haven't seen it and you don't want it spoiled, turn it off. Turn us off for a minute. So in the Eternals mid-credit scene, we see the guy who's going to basically become the Black Knight.
Kit Harington.
Yeah, Jon Snow.
Yeah.
He has got he's about to get the ebony blade, which is gonna make him it's gonna make him into the Black Knight essentially.
Yes,
It's got like some kind of weird resin, like almost like venom, venom thing on it.
Yeah, it's like symbiotic, like it's alive,
which is gonna like reach out to him. And then just as he's about to grab it, you hear a voice say, "Are you sure you want to do that?" Like that. That's exactly what it sounds like. And that
I was gonna say, I thought I was watching the scene. Yeah,
and
in the room.
Basically that turns out that's Blade essentially.
Yeah.
So we know those two characters are linked. We'll say no more about those two characters now, but we know those two characters are linked, and there is a suggestion that Moon Knight with his like set of skills is gonna also add to that as well, and they could cross over.
And not just that, but the location, because Moon Knight is set in London.
Yeah.
And Dane Whitman was in London.
He was, but they are two different museums. And also, what's that interesting is a place we see in the Doctor Strange trailer was also filmed in a museum in London.
It was.
There you go. And so the other side of this is, so we got museums. They're great. Last time I was in London, I tried to go in a museum. I had hours to kill, and when I got there, they were like, "You need a ticket." I was like, "My face is my ticket." So he punched. So he punched me in the face and said, "Well, your ticket is punched." There you go. So I couldn't get in. I really wanted, but I couldn't get in. So we got Moon Knight. Looks great. We know what it's about. Guy who may or may not be going mental. He's turns into this character, and the Moon Knight character, which looked amazing, by the way. When you see him with the cape, oh my god, that looked unbelievable.
Yeah, the special effects look fantastic.
But obviously, we know that recently, spoiler warning, now, Matt Murdock was in Spider-Man. We know that Kingpin was in Hawkeye. So they're back. So that basically means that world's back. Everything's there. But interestingly as well this week, the Daredevil shows on Netflix are getting taken off on the 1st of March, apparently, or sometime in March. Now, we don't know. There's been nothing confirmed that they're going to come to Disney Plus or more be Hulu in America. We're grown-ups in Europe, so we get them on Disney Plus, like Pam and Tommy.
Been watching that, so good.
Oh, episode 2 is amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm not gonna say anymore. Just gonna say his friend is hilarious. But anyway, so it suggests that there's going to be a darker tone, and if and with everything going on, if Daredevil does come onto Hulu or just put it on Disney Plus so they're all in one place, then it suggests that is part of. Disney might have said no, we're taking it back because now that we've got the Spider-Mans, now that we're getting the multiverse of madness and all that can come with that. We're basically saying everything is within everything's now canon through multiverse.
Well, I was going to say, don't forget, Disney also did that deal with Sony. So I think after some time, all the Spider-Man film are going to be on Disney Plus, and then they have like anything new. So I think Spider-Man No Way Home, I believe, is going to be on Netflix for like a year when it first drops. And then eventually, after that year period, it goes on to Disney Plus.
Everything will end up on Disney Plus.
Disney will be the home for all of it.
Everything they will own your souls.
Your soul is mine.
Your soul now belongs to Walt and his frozen head, and I accept that graciously. No, it's so they're gonna get Daredevil back, which means hopefully they're gonna get it back, which means that that's part of the multiverse, and we're gonna start to get this slightly darker content. Not obviously, it's not gonna be R-rated like like Logan was, or that kind of thing. But it certainly suggests that they're going to push the boundaries of the, in America, the PG-13 right to the limits and say, no, this is the new... Because Because, you know, a
Well, I was going to say, technically, this is going to be a TV 14.
Ooh,
So 1 year,
TV
1
14.
year up.
That's fine. Yeah, I like that because you're pushing it even more.
Yeah.
So it's all good. It's all good. And if we're suggesting Daredevil is part of the world, it's all good. It's all coming in to the world that I think we know is going to explode in Doctor Strange.
Well, and it's interesting because Bob Chapek came out in the Disney shareholder meeting just recently saying like they didn't realize how unprepared they were to have bigger shows and bigger movies like ready to go for the platform. Like they underestimated how much demand there would be for the want for new content on the platform.
COVID though, innit?
Yeah, and COVID.
COVID, innit? We ain't got anywhere to go. Give us fucking shows now.
Just give it
not bed. Give it fucking shows.
And
fucking not bed.
So Chapek, who Ped is talking to off camera, is planning on like just launching loads of money and just saying, okay, we're ready. We're going into this like hard.
With fucking National Treasure, not bad. I want it. All right. What the fucking book of secrets?
Moving to filming.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm like, it's just going in the right direction. It's going all in the right direction, and it's.
I am sitting on the edge of my seat and waiting to see how weird Moon Knight could be, because I really do think that's a big test.
Right. Yeah. It's gonna be awesome. I don't care. It's gonna be awesome. I know it's gonna be awesome because someone was I seen someone mention the other day and was saying like when you go back and you think of like where we were 2 years ago or 3 years ago, like when Tony Stark done the snap, and how you think about it now, how different the MCU is now. It's like completely different. It's like new characters and people you've never heard of. WandaVision, Loki, new Captain America. Like we're
talking about Kang and the Illuminati.
Yeah,
like
we've got.
I didn't think we'd ever be talking about that and Secret Wars and multiverses.
But the thing about it is, like, no one's like, we're getting a Thor film soon, but no one's like, I can't wait for Thor. Thor's gonna be amazing. Thor, it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna have all kinds. It's gonna have like.
Oh, I've heard so many rumors about that, and it's gonna be mental.
It's gonna be boss. It's gonna have the Guardians in it. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be so good. But no one's.
It's gonna have a lot. It's gonna. But
no one's thinking. And also, I was thinking the other day, man, like how dull was the original Doctor Strange when you think about it now? It's like we've moved, and I don't get me wrong. It's
visually very cool, but it was a little conservative for what it could have done.
It is the ultimate like origin film for like introducing someone who it's took a little bit of time for you to understand like everything about him. But now he's like the main guy. Now because like everything that is going on is like, number one, his fault, but number two is like it's in his remit. Everything about it is like in his wheelhouse. So it's just all figuring it out. And like I think we might as well just start talking about Doctor Strange, the trailer, because we got the trailer and we got the TV spot, and there's different things in the TV spot which is really interesting. But obviously we got the trailer, and the trailer is just unbelievable. And do you know what's unbelievable about it? And it's something most people won't even have noticed. There's a scene in the trailer where you see the cartoon What If crashing into real life. That's how mad it is. It's basically saying What If is real, and it is a cartoon, and it is part of this universe, and it's one of our multiverses. It's like, oh my god.
Which is funny because everyone I spoke to was just like, oh yeah, What If it was okay, and some people are like, What If was, I'll skip it. It's just, it's not really connected anyway. Like it's not that big of a deal. I'm like, I think they wouldn't just plop it in there for no reason, just for like shits and giggles. Like there's a reason it's there.
What I love about this as well, just on the whole thing, is the guy who wrote this film was basically helped write Loki, but also helped write Rick and Morty. And Rick and Morty had the Council of Ricks.
Yeah.
And the Council of Ricks came from the Council of
Reeds.
Richards, the Fantastic Four. Oh my god. Like, it's just proper mad circles, isn't it? It's just mad.
Yeah.
So obviously we get the trailer looks mad. You've got you've seen different versions of Strange, different versions of
Wanda.
Yeah, Wanda, Mordor. What's his name? Not Mordor.
Baron Mordo.
Mordo, sorry. Mordo's in Lord of the Rings. You've got everyone. You've got different versions of everyone. So it's really hard to know who.
Oh, you got who. Different versions of Christine Palmer. It looks like
Christine Palmer. It's I think the only person who might only be one version of is America Chavez,
or maybe Wong.
Yeah, but it's only
can't tell. It's hard to tell with Wong. To be honest,
I think with America Chavez, because she can cross dimensions, that's her power.
She's just one.
There might just be one of it. So you're getting looks like there's zombies in there. So you're getting the zombies that were in, and then.
I was to say hello to Farhad. This is live, buddy.
Yeah. You've got all that, and then you've got obviously. Then we jump into like the actual what the story's going to be. The obviously story is, well, we don't quite know what the story is, but obviously you've got Wanda, and what I really liked about the Wanda scenes is the scenes with the trees. That's clearly bollocks. That's clearly not. That's a projection she's created. For him or for herself. There's something more. Obviously, we see the scenes where it's all red, so there's obviously something else going on there. But then you get sort of the sort of little bit of meat on the bone, which is he gets arrested, he gets taken to somewhere. He gets taken in by Ultron bots, which straight away you're like, well, Tony Stark must exist. And then he gets taken, and then we hear Professor X's voice. We just hear Professor X's voice, just hear it.
Sir Patrick Stewart.
And then that basically says, well, X-Men, all the X-Men are real. All the X-Men are real. They're in this different multiverse, so they're all real. And then it's a case of who's sitting up there with her. It so far there's a lot of different things. People are saying
so much speculation.
People are saying there's a Black Panther. A different Black Panther. People are saying Captain Carter's up there. Other people are saying there is Reed Richards up there. You've got Mordo. Mordo looks like he's up there as well. You've got it's just, and then
I heard this week that the Black Bolt,
possibly Black Bolt, yeah.
Anson Mount was confirmed he's going to be in the show. It wasn't big trades or anything like that, and then someone actually had a theory that the one who looks like Mordo and it's got like something in his back, they were like, oh, is that Blade? And I was like, oh, that would be an interesting one.
I seen before and it was Blade, but then it makes more sense that it's Mordo, isn't it? That it's a variant of Mordo and he's come to arrest them. It's just nuts. And what it is it's like, the thing about it is as well, a lot of people will be like, oh, I don't fully understand what's going on and everything. It does help if you've watched What If, like we told you to. And obviously it does help if you've watched Loki and if you've watched Spider-Man, which you should have watched anyway. I mean, and it's all just creating this. I think this one film is like, it is just, for me, it looks like this will be the film with all the chaos on it. I think this will open the door for those people to come in, and then you'll get Kang trying to cause chaos amongst what's happening on either our Earth or whatever. But I do think this is going to be the only film that has this much actual inter-multiverse chaos in it, just because it sort of has to sort of be sorted out. And not sorted out, that's the wrong word. I just mean, I know it's going to go on, because I do think this whole,
I was going to say explode.
I think this whole phase is going to be about the multiverse, and of course it's about getting the X-Men in. It is about getting It's about justifying all. We've already seen with Spider-Man. We know now X-Men. Probably, we're going to get not an we don't need an explanation for Daredevil because we know he's here, but we're just basically going to have it all canonized in this one thing, and you're going to see, and that's going to bring Captain Carter into it, who we've only seen so far in What If as a cartoon. We know she's going to be in it in one way or another because we see a shield in the poster, but this is their one way, and I don't think this is going to be either the major plot of the film. I think this is just going to be like one of those things where you see.
I actually think we've only seen like the first. I want to say that probably looks like the first 20 minutes, and it's. I think from what I've heard, it's again one of these longer films, two and a half, 2 hours and 45. I think is what I've heard. So I think from what we've seen in the trailer, it's probably only the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, again, and we don't know what's real and what's not real, but I get the feeling that it's just going to be the Illuminati, who are essentially all the different leaders. They're going to be introduced to us, but I don't think that's going to be a major part of the film. I think that's going to be be you've got to come here, be judged at the Council of Ricks, and you have to, and then we get to, and then that's just a way of going. Or anything in this we have now the Illuminati, and it's a cross multiverse Illuminati, very much like in What If when we had a multiverse Avengers, but we're not. This is like a thing that we're showing you exists, but we're not taking.
I don't think all of those members of the Illuminati, I don't think they're all going to survive. Like you said, it's going to introduce you to almost like the framework of it, and then at some point the Illuminati like may come back in, because it does open up it does open up some potentially big storylines that are all kind of interconnected around the same time. Stuff to do with like Secret Wars and Hulk, things between Wakanda and Atlantis with Namor. It's all kind of connected in with this Illuminati storyline. So I think at some point they'll come back, but it'll be a different version.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I think this is just a way to show that he's being punished, but then Wanda's gonna break in. Into this wherever they are, and she's just gonna cause utter chaos, and she's probably gonna kill Professor X and maybe whoever else, and then the film is just gonna go batshit crazy after that, and it's actually gonna be sort of how does she get punished for bringing down the Illuminati or something like that. I just don't think the Illuminati are going to be a major part of the film. I think that's just a way of showing you that's just going to confirm all these different things, and then what it is going to do.
Well, not to mention, like, you've got Wanda variants now as well.
Yeah, but what I think
which complicates things,
and it complicates where the kids are, and if the kids have got variants and all the rest of it, and where the real kids are. And I just think that what that's just going to do is basically tell us as an audience that everything we've seen so far in Marvel is all out there somewhere, and you have to go and buy the toys.
I honestly think this movie is going to absolutely give us that House of M moment. It's going to be kind of like, at some point, it was like maybe it existed at some point, and it got like someone cleansed the timeline, and it got like wiped out, so it didn't happen. And she's gonna come back in, and it's gonna be like she's seeing other worlds where mutants exist, and it's gonna be just like set her off.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think this is gonna be a huge film.
Yeah, I think she's gonna see that that they exist in another place, as you said, and that they can bring sort of balance in a way, because almost like she can use, like, she's a mutant, they're her people, so therefore she wants the people in our timeline are, the Avengers and stuff. They're the bad guys, and by having mutants, they can be their her people. So that might be what happens, but it's almost hard to make sense of the chaos because there's so much going on. There's so much.
I mean, at one point they crash through into what looks like, it's hard to tell because of the comic ties, but it looks like they crash through to prehistoric times. But there is also an X-Men storyline, which
Yeah.
there was an alternate reality called Savage Lands, where there's some like weird X-Men characters that exist over there as well. So
Well, that's even Savage Lands is
it's
actually
just gonna have
mentioned.
so many layers.
Savage Land's actually mentioned in the comics in Logan.
Yeah,
it's on one of the comics, the Savage Lands, and it's in the cartoon as well. In the '97 cartoon, which don't forget, we're getting that finished off as well, which is all fits into the part. Listen, what you got to remember about Marvel is, Marvel are very clever. When they lost like when they didn't have Fantastic Four and stuff, they stopped making Fantastic Four comics. They are so bitchy, like when it comes to stuff like that, they're not going to promote for other people. So if X-Men are coming back, then of course they're gonna like push out the cartoon. It's gonna be X-Men City for a couple of years as those characters come back, and as we get new, and then we'll get new versions of the people. You get to see the old version, then you get the new person.
I do like the fact that like say if we do get a Reed Richards, it was floated out this week saying like John Krasinski, but someone mentioned having like the original guy in it, and I was like, I kind of like that a little bit more, to be honest, because then it's just canonizing everything, saying Marvel's just leaning and saying, no, it exists, it's all Marvel, like everything that was in association with Marvel is Marvel, and we're leaning in, leaning into it.
What if David Hasselhoff comes out as Nick Fury though? Like
that would just be
you know what I mean?
Insane.
That would be the best cameo. Well, because he's already done his own cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. But imagine he's come out with like the eye patch and the cigar. That'd be incredible. That would be like the ultimate Easter egg. It'd be unbelievable. But no. What about
I was gonna say, and that was the big debate this week, wasn't it, between the Tony Stark variants?
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you then. I was just about to say, a lot of people like. It's not a rumor. It's a lot of people putting two and two together and saying, what if it's Tom Cruise? Because Tom Cruise was going to originally play Tony Stark. That was the guy that they wanted originally, like before the MCU. Yeah. It's like, what if it was Tom Cruise, like, and he like it was on screen for like the same amount of time Brad Pitt was in Deadpool 2.
That would be amazing, because especially with there's a version of Tony Stark, which is obviously it's the superior Iron Man, and he's basically Tony Stark that never got redeemed. He never had that like compelling thing to be a hero. He just is this like narcissistic billionaire that just wants to do whatever he wants, and he creates this like he bonds this symbiote with his like nanotechnology. So it's like this living, breathing like Iron Man suit. It's insane. It's such a fun story. But he's a bad guy. He is, and Daredevil tries to stop him. Funnily enough,
awesome. I see. It wouldn't surprise me though if that version Tony Stark was dead as well, and we found out it was a Nexus. He was Nexus, but his suit around the world had worked, and Ultron,
just put a picture of him on the wall, and it's
his Ultron was there. His Ultron was like a good guy in a way, and it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case as well. So after seeing Ultron in What If as well, and I haven't seen like the darkest timeline of Ultron, it wouldn't surprise me if we've seen a good Ultron. But it's just nuts. As I said, it's so open. It's so up in the air. Like
so much potential.
You can't figure out, like a lot of people are saying, Wanda's going to be the bad guy, and there are moments of it where you do lean into it. But then I think to myself, we went through a whole season with like a whole arc of Wanda being a bad guy, like pretty much the bad guy. And I know WandaVision is like, it depends which way you look at it, but she did torture her town. She was the bad guy. She was like, and then at the end we find like, obviously Agatha was behind it all along, but she was like the bad guy. And I just wonder, like, I can see where they're going with it, because you could see that she is dark, she's after the kids. Is it going to be the whole thing going to be about her? Because in this trailer it just suggests that there are so many potential bad people in it, including Doctor Strange himself. Like, and the different versions of Doctor Strange, and then like a zombie Doctor Strange, and then it's just,
in the original, like, how, because I know you've read House of M, like, she was being manipulated and kind of like pushed behind the scenes, and I'm wondering if it's going to be some of that, not particularly a person, but more so like maybe the influence of like the Darkhold and like Don, who's like the lord of like one of the big like Marvel gods.
I think though, what we've always said about the multiverse is we didn't want it to last too long, because it really does throw out the caution, or the rules. You know, if Tony Stark can come back, then they'll bring Tony Stark back. I don't want Tony Stark to come back. I want fresh new people, and I don't want them to be able to just go and just pull Tony Stark out when they want because he's alive in another multiverse. It gets rid of all the trepidation of things happening. Well, we died, or just going to do it.
I feel like it undercuts all of that emotional.
But I do feel like that can be used as Wanda's, what Wanda will use for this film is like, it's, you can imagine if you're given ultimate opportunities to put wrongs right. So somewhere there's another vision. Somewhere Billy and Tommy are knocking about. Like, and there's not just one version. There's a lot of versions, and you can go and get them. And it is almost, I'd say, what it reminds me of. It reminds me of Into the Spider-Verse. The way Kingpin keeps on trying to go and get his wife and his son, and when he gets them, they're like, "Who are you? You're like, who are you? You're a horrible man." And it's like that thing to me where she could be driven mad by there being countless versions of, but they don't know her, and that's what like. And when you see her in the house, and I love the fact that the house is in it. When you see her in the house and there's another version of it, it's like it just sort of creates those elements of like, this could drive her mad because there's all these other versions of her life out there, and she's not part of any of them, even though she's supposed to be a Nexus being. And it's just mad.
That's the thing as well. Like, because of that trauma and that pain, but she's starting to realize how powerful a mutant she is.
Yeah.
Like, and now she's got the Darkhold, and now she's learning spells, and so you've got a person who's like, I don't want to say damaged because that's a poor word, but like, based on that trauma, she's in pain and she's lashing out at the cosmic multiverse, like, but just trying to find some happiness.
That does suggest, though, that she's not necessarily the bad guy. That does suggest that there is or even she might be the bad guy, but it might be that version of Wanda. That's
I was going to say, with a film this big, do you want to waste it and not have a big bad?
And do you know what? Like, you don't want to waste it on someone that you've already had a season of, and you've gone through the redemption arc with her, where to the point where she's like, that's the thing as well. That's why I don't think she's the bad guy in it, because we've had a season of her getting to know it and getting the suit and finding out.
And that's, I think Kevin Feige's like promised, like she's got like a big part to play in the Marvel like MCU. Like, so I don't think she's I can't see her being the bad guy, and I think that's maybe why they're using the variant.
Yeah.
And like, she connects with the variant because it's kind of like, well, she can be a bad guy, but she's not a bad guy.
And to be fair, there's more chance of Doctor Strange and his variants being the bad guys than it is. You know what I mean? There's like,
he's a little loose and fast with his spells, isn't he?
It's just, it's
chaos.
It's madness. It's
madness in the multiverse.
It is just like, and obviously we see all the imagery that we saw in What If as well, in Doctor Strange's episodes of What If. We see the imagery of the city being turned into this inky nothingness, and which is great again, but I think the main takeaway is that this gives Marvel and Disney a fantastic opportunity to say, like we've already seen with Spider-Man, everything we've ever done is canon. We own it. It's ours. And as we go forward with it, there's that thing of, there's always that thing, isn't there, of like, well, we may never ever see, like, you know, Tobey Maguire, we may never ever see him ever again in any Marvel film.
Yeah.
But we know he's there. And that's so powerful
because it is, yeah.
It's so powerful
he exists.
He exists, and that's so
it's connected.
So you never pick up a film again and go, well, this hasn't got anything to do with it. This Fantastic Four hasn't got anything to do with it. This other Fantastic Four hasn't got anything to do. Whatever it is, it's everything. And what will be interesting, just while we wrap this up, is how far do they take that? Do they take that so that it's not, so we get a representative of everything? Do we get to see?
Yeah.
Do we get to see Wesley Snipes' Blade somewhere?
I think you mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, where like that Crisis on Infinite Earths moment.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Do we get to see Miles Teller as Mr. Fantastic? Do we get to see? Obviously, Deadpool's. I'll talk about Deadpool.
I had 2 more points, and Deadpool was one of them.
Well, we'll come back to we'll come back to. So you've got obviously all the versions of Fantastic Four. You've got we've already had the Spider-Mans. Eric Banner as Bruce Banner. Do we get that? Another version of the Hulk. There's as I said,
could bring him in as a Red Hulk even, like that would be interesting.
There's so many, but Deadpool's interesting. I'll tell you why Deadpool's interesting, because we obviously know Deadpool as, when people say, breaks the fourth wall, wisecracking. But what would be dead interesting is if Deadpool comes into it, right? So it's our Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds.
So I was going to say, for anyone who's listening and is confused why we're mentioning Deadpool, because it's multiverse and like film, but for anyone who doesn't know, there was a small sliver on the Doctor Strange poster where it looks like Deadpool's kind of like doing this.
Yeah, but I'm not even bothered by that, because this is the opportunity to bring everyone in.
Oh, yeah.
So what I would say about Deadpool is, right, and this is where I think it's really clever, right? What if the Deadpool we get, right, is our Deadpool, we know. But in that universe that he's come from, which isn't quite X-Men, it's sort of in the middle somewhere, which is like, I know it's got X-Men in it, but what if in that universe he does break the fourth wall and thinks people are responding to it, but in our one he breaks the fourth wall but nobody's responding? Do you know what I mean? It's like he thinks that in his universe, right? He can break the fourth wall. In ours, he can't break the fourth wall, but he still does it. Do you know what I mean? Because he's going to break the fourth wall, and they've got to explain that. And what if it's like an unwritten rule that he breaks the fourth wall by making wisecracks? Oh, look, it's another Here's another doctor. I found another Professor X. Blah blah blah. But what happens if it's like, if someone sort of walks in front of him and goes, "Who are you talking to?" And he's like, and they're like, no, what are you on about? Like, and he's like, oh, he's like, yeah, who
So it's almost like the comedy and the insanity of it all.
Yeah, it's like a meta on meta. So it's like someone's like, so as he's talking to someone, or he's talking to us, but then the camera pulls away and he's actually talking to someone, or something like that, because this is the opportunity to explain all the madness.
Yeah, no, it'd be funny, and it holds so much potential. It really is interesting. But like you said, if you're going to bring him in, this is the time. And he has come out this week. He got interviewed by Variety. He goes, "Oh, I'm definitely not it. I'm definitely not it." He's like looking off camera, and he looks dead awkward. But we've just gone through all of this with Andrew Garfield.
No, but he knows, even if he's not in it, he knows how to play it. That he might be in it, but he's not in it.
Yeah.
So go on. What's your theories then?
No, so it's not a theory, but I was going to say, did you see the concept art for what they're going to do with Professor X?
The floating chair.
Yeah, they're going to give us the actual yellow floating chair rather than the wheelchair as well. So I just think if they're doing that, like, this movie is going to be, they're just going to lean into just all of it. And I can't wait. I feel like you're going to walk out and I have to make a list of all the things that are in this. Like, it's going to be just intense. And I was stopping to think the other day, I was like, how are they going to do this all in one film?
I don't know. And that's what makes me think that a lot of that stuff is going to like happen quite early on in a way, and it's going to be quickly, and there's going to be like,
it's kind of like the Daredevil of like,
I think what's going to happen is, I'm just going to, like, for the first half an hour, I think what's going to happen is he gets essentially arrested. He goes to speak to Wanda, then he gets arrested, and then he gets taken there, and then Wanda, and then Wanda comes, or a version of Wanda comes, blows it all to blows it all to bits. Yeah, looking for American Chavez because she can open up all the multiverses, and then they go back to, then they have something which will be her, and then they take her to, what's the place called where the
nexus of all realities?
No, what's it called?
Comatage.
Comatage. They go to Comatage. She comes for her. She gets her. Then they go looking for the kids, and then something else happens. That's what I'm saying.
I think there's going to be a moment within the film where America Chavez is either running from or being forced to search realities, and I think you're going to get those like blippy moments where you're going to get like things you'll see. You know what I mean? You might see like a fallen. Yeah, just like a Hugh Jackman Wolverine or something like that, where they're racing through the realities, and it's just going to be blips, like little fan service, and just kind of go through it, kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting.
Looks unbelievably,
and we don't have that long to wait in reality. No. I mean, it's 2 months.
It's a couple of months. Yeah, we've got
Moon Knight coming up. We've got the Batman coming up. Doctor Strange. I thought there was something else in May, but I'm forgetting now.
In May, we've got Obi-Wan in May. Of course, we've got.
See, this is why I podcast with you, Ped.
Yeah, we've got Obi-Wan. You ain't forgetting that, fella. And as I said last week, I hope we don't get any trailers for Obi-Wan. I hope we don't get anything for him. Anything. Yeah. I hope they just keep it nice and just be like, it's Obi-Wan. What do you need a trailer for? What do you need a trailer for?
There has been some like things like coming out, and I'm like, I don't want to know.
No,
I keep seeing it. I'm like, I wish I wouldn't seen.
All I want is one trailer, and all you hear is someone fall to the sand and go, Kenobi! And that's it. That's it. And people are like, what does that mean? And us people will be like, we know what it means. We know.
Such a good episode, that one as well.
There you go. Yeah, it all looks amazing. It all looks amazing. Let's just finish off by very quickly talking about another trailer. Jurassic World Domination.
So good.
Dominion. Dominion, Domination, whatever, same thing. It begins with a D. It looks amazing. It's like the Avengers of Jurassic Park at the end when they all come together.
Yeah.
But how epic does this look? Like,
so good.
You know, you got they're in the snow, they're in the real world, then they're like, it looked like Italy. They're on the bikes in the city. You've got that other dude that was made up with the spits the sticky stuff in people's faces, who's not even a real dinosaur.
Yeah.
The sticky Asaurus, who they made up.
Spitnosaurus.
Yeah.
I think it's a
Dilophosaurus. Which they made up for the film, but it just looks completely epic, and also there's like I don't know if you've seen this in the trailer. There's like what looks like a man-made island as well, where I don't know whether they're trying to capture them to take them to live there or something. And you know, it's maybe like an ark, like an ark where they only keep 2 or whatever, and then there's bits of, like, Blue is back with Chris Pratt's character, and they're trying to keep him safe, and it's just
with a baby.
How did they make the baby? Life always finds a way. All that, man. It just looks really, really cinematic as well.
Yeah,
because it goes.
Looks very very grand.
Very glowing.
Well, it's interesting because, like, obviously, you know, we've both seen, like, you know, the original trilogy of Jurassic Parks, and it feels like they tried to do that back in the day, but they just tried to make it too King Kong. Like, they can't try to kind of mimic something that was kind of like just a bit two-dimensional. It didn't really have any massive depth to it. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh no, there's a T-Rex loose in San Francisco. Oh no.
Technology though, isn't it? Technology that as well.
Yeah, exactly. But this is just so much bigger. It's not just like it's all dinosaurs and it's everything's changed within the landscape.
Yeah. But again though, they've paid into that though, haven't they? Because technology
set the groundwork.
Technology now and cloning, and obviously if you've seen the second film, you know there's a bit more with the cloning as well. There's technology's almost not caught up with it. Of course, we can't clone dinosaurs. Oh, can we? Elon Musk.
Nazis and dinosaurs.
Exactly. Favorite topics. But you've got like. Well, even in their world, though, what they're basically saying is that 25 years plus of the research and the technology is where it is now in Jurassic Parkland. You know what I mean? You've got the original doctors in there again who turned bad in Jurassic World. It's all caught up to the point where in the last film they obviously had to make a decision, whether to essentially kill the last of the dinosaurs or set them free, and they made a choice. And now we've got this world which is just completely out of kilter, and someone's got to fix it. And it looks like there's a way they can fix it, but some dinosaurs are going to be killed. And it is that thing as well. It almost feels like some dinosaurs are like, obviously you've got like the herbivores and stuff. Some dinosaurs are obviously not. They're not pro-cage. I'm not saying they're pro-cage. I'm just saying there's like some dinosaurs are obviously loving life, going around the city, eating people. It's a great life.
Yeah.
Going in the sea, sinking ships and boats and all the rest of it. They're loving it. But then there's also some who are a bit like, probably, the likes of Blues, like who has got a link with obviously a human, who are a bit like, I just want a quiet life. And if they have to take him to this island, then so be it. But it just looks epic. It looks really epic.
And it's kind of interesting as well because they've not, I don't want to say leveled up the dinosaurs, but they've found a way to evolve them in a certain way, because like you do see the raptor where it's got like the feathers in the snow.
Yeah.
So they're starting to adapt to the climate and the world, and it's because I know it's one thing that people always teased about, like dinosaurs had feathers.
That's evolving though, isn't it? Because dinosaurs they're evolving to birds, or some of them. So there's that element of, are they evolving because they're living in the real world in a sense, because they
not
were
just on an island,
but also they were bred a certain way to live on a certain island in a certain way. Now they're out in the real world, and clearly they are reproducing, and clearly they're thriving and stuff. And it does look like an epic conclusion. Although again, it's Jurassic Park. You know what I mean? It's again huge. It's huge IP.
Well, and I think that's what I heard this past week, or it was last week, when the hype of the trailer was obviously at its peak. But they were saying this would probably be the conclusion of this story, but they plan to do more.
Where'd you go with it though? Because the original was like, it was all set on an island, and it went as far as it could go. The Jurassic World was a really good. Well, we've gone back 25 years. We've made it safe, and it wasn't safe. Of course, it wasn't safe. It's covered in dinosaurs. And then they brought them.
I mean, what if there's like, they almost have to like wall off part of like either a country or an island or something. What if it had like people?
What if they put them on an island? What if they put them on an island?
They had them in cages, and it was like a theme park.
Or they put them on an island and let them run free. But humans don't want them to run free. They want them to come over to the mainland and put them in parks on the mainland. What if they did that?
Interesting. But I'm kind of thinking of it kind of like a horror element. Like they almost like wall off like a city, and they just like, okay, well, you can't go in there because there's loads of dinosaurs, but there's like people trying to survive. And
what if
like Jurassic?
What if they had like zombie dinosaurs? That's where I'd go with it. No, I do think like it is that thing of like, if where can they go with it? Like, Like it is that thing of
but then again, like we're willing to accept so much. I mean, Jurassic World came along, like, oh really? They're just gonna like after the events of everything before it, they're just gonna open another park. But it came out. We all went to watch it and we all loved it and just said, yeah, sure, that's fine. So maybe they just do something else and we're just kind of like, yeah, sure.
It's just
whatever,
how many times you can do that, though, isn't it? It's how many times it becomes like Resident Evil. Then it becomes like, oh, we've got more zombies and we have to get to this place. Like they either sort it out or they don't, and if they don't, we all get basically, and then it's a tale of surviving in like small pockets, and then it might as well be a TV show. Do you know what I mean? It might as well
be.
It might as well.
That's my only other thing. Like I feel like if they're gonna take it anywhere, for me, its conclusion has to be you almost like steer towards like a Last of Us situation where society is just completely upended and dinosaurs just now a part of the world and you have to try and survive in it.
What if at the end of the film,
Marvel, what if?
No, what if at the end of the film a meteorite just kills everybody?
I mean, I'm stunned.
Exactly.
I'm lost for words.
Yeah, and it's the same meteorite from.
Who would have thought of that?
It's the same meteor. It's the same meteorite from Don't Look Up. Cross branding. There you go. Fixed everything for you. No, it looks really good. It looks really good, and hopefully the film is good. Because we all
I'm excited. I'm excited they brought back the original cast.
Yeah, it is boss when you see them all together, and it is pure like Jurassic Park Avengers.
Yeah, absolutely. Like with Alan Grant and what's his face, just nobody move. It's that nostalgic. It's definitely tapping into.
It's an interesting point, right? Because Whammy Spoons has just put this in the comments, and I think this is really an interesting point. He says, let's be fair, dinosaurs are cool, but they are no match for fighter jets. And that is a really good point. But what it does suggest in this film is, it does suggest that there's no real, like, big tech in it. If you watch it, there's plane they're on is an old battered plane. And also, so have the dinosaurs who were, like, the flying dinosaurs, have they managed to wipe out the Air Force of all the countries or whatever? Do you know what I mean? That's what's going to be really interesting to find out.
I was going to say, you were talking about Don't Look Up. Let's approach this practically.
Yeah.
If the dinosaurs escaped and let's just say they all were like flying over to America for some reason, you could imagine like if they take out any of the planes,
they're all they're all in America anyway because of what happened in the last film.
That's true. Yeah. So say it just all happens in America, like the next film. Like you could easily see other countries being like, "No, we're not going to fly our planes. Why would we fly our planes over to?"
All other countries would be sitting there going, with the popcorn, going, "Go on, lads."
It's not a problem, mates. Yeah, you can absolutely see it happening, and then if they they flew over to the UK and started attacking the other country, be like, not a problem. Until it was too late.
Is it like a NATO situation though? Because if dinosaurs attacked America, would NATO get involved and be like, "Oh, hang on,
but here's the next wrinkle. Then you start having the internal political debate of like, oh yeah, but can we just go and wipe out a species again?
It's like
we're going to make them extinct.
There'd be like some kind of trade war before they allowed it to happen or something.
Yeah, or like, hey, is this an opportunity to start like some big tech company would get me all like, hold on, we could use like their bones to make some sort of cool shoes or something like that. Like, I don't know, make computer chips
out of dinosaur bones.
I don't know. Just spitballing. Yeah, well, I said tech company and I mentioned shoes. You should have called me on. You should have called me on that.
I know, but I let that one go. But I think what I would worry about is that if the dinosaurs killed all the people and there was a tech giant behind it, dinosaurs are not very good at like keeping servers up to date and like putting code into computers. You know what I mean? Like even if they could you imagine like a velociraptor trying to input code? His big like nail sharpie things.
I mean, at least it's got a better one than like one of the big herbivores with just a solid elephant
But that's
foot.
the problem, isn't it? You like, two smacks on that. You'd have to be buying keyboards every 5 seconds for them. It's impractical.
We just talked about they evolved and got feathers. Maybe they can start evolve and get like little fingers.
Who's buying electric cars off Elon Musk if there's no people and it's just dinosaurs? Who's buying from Amazon off Jeff Bezos if it's just dinosaurs? You know what I mean? I'm sure he will sell good stuff for dinosaurs, but can they order it? Again, the big nails on phones, that would go right through the screen.
Oh, I was going to say, though, imagine
who's making the phones?
How many of those big rich people would pay to go hunt dinosaurs? I want to go hunt a dinosaur, stuff it and put it in my backyard.
But again, though, isn't that partly the plot of the second Jurassic World, though? Isn't that in the
Well, I was going to say, but they were live dinosaurs. Though. I mean, I guess they could do with what they wanted once.
Why would you go and kill dead dinosaurs? I mean, I could do that now. I could go to a museum and just start shooting at bones.
Like, actual hunters wanting to go onto preserved land and go hunt them.
Hang on, isn't that Jurassic Park 2? Wasn't there a guy who wanted to hunt dinosaurs? Isn't basically Jurassic Park?
I thought they were capturing dinosaurs.
But the main guy, played by Pete Postlethwaite, wanted. His fee was to shoot a T-Rex.
Yeah.
Basically, everything you just said there has been done already, apart from Raptors ordering shit off Amazon, which I don't know.
Maybe that's the next step. They get injected with like intelligence.
Maybe. Well, that's Planet of the Apes, then, isn't it?
I feel like there's another movie there where they start leveling up. Don't they do that with Mario? Remember that Mario movie in the 90s?
No. What happened in Mario was... I don't even... Who are you that I have to explain Mario to you? Right?
No. They had that whole, like, de-evolution.
No. So what happened in Mario is basically they found a parallel universe, which was if the meteorite...
through the pipes in New York.
What happened if the meteorite hadn't struck? Dinosaurs would have evolved. And that's what they would have evolved into, Dennis Hooper.
Basically 90s, 80s people, punk rock era.
So, yeah. And some of them didn't evolve, and some did. I don't know why some didn't evolve, but some did. And that's that. And I think, I don't know.
No, because they at one point, they start to, like, the Goombas start to rebel, and they start to, like, make them stupid. But the one guy got smart.
Yeah,
they turn the dial into smart.
Listen, I don't see that happening. I don't.
Well, we've exhausted all of our other options. So what's left?
But you're forgetting what the secret link is. Oh, you're forgetting what the secret link is.
I've done it now, haven't I? I'm in for it.
Chris Pratt is playing Super Mario in the Super Mario film. So therefore.
So is Blue now Yoshi?
At the end of this film, yeah. For some reason, Chris Pratt's obviously done something wrong. He's probably pressed the wrong button and killed half of the... Probably was looking for the Bible and pressed a nuclear bomb or something, knowing him. Right? For shits and giggles.
Okay.
He's pressed the bomb. Everyone's looking for him. He puts a fake moustache on and goes, "Hello, my name is Mario." Has Yoshi there. It's Blue, but Blue's now Yoshi. And basically... says he's the king of the dinosaurs, runs around with a plunger,
eating mushrooms.
Yeah, basically eating all the mushrooms he can find to keep up the pretense in his own head. While Dr. Alan Grant is now be called Luigi, and it's a little side gig for them, and that's what takes us in. So we've just established that the Super Mario film is secretly Jurassic World 4.
It's logically the next step.
It's logically the next step.
The next step.
Logically the next step to it all is what's happening. So we just cracked it essentially. Everybody else dies. I'm so sorry for everyone listening. And they basically nuked the rest of the world because they weren't coming to the aid of America, and because Chris Pratt fights for the justice of Americans but not American animals because you like shooting them. And
so what's Bowser then? Some sort of mutant hybrid dinosaur from the radiation?
No, just a 3D projection.
Okay. Because I was going to say maybe, like, because I always found weird that Bowser is like a dinosaur, but he has a turtle shell.
Maybe he is. And I'm just trying to think. Yeah. So we've got
His
Yoshi.
girlfriend can be Princess Peach.
Luigi is actually like his robot character. Like he's not real. He's like he's like AI. It's Jarvis. It's just Jarvis essentially of the Mario world.
So could just be like a 3D projection,
essentially,
just running around next to him.
I think we've cracked the code, and I think that's a good place to end the podcast.
I agree,
because most people have probably already switched off anyway. There you go. Right, there you go. Another fantastic podcast in my head where I come up with these theories.
When you've been eating mushrooms.
Yeah. No, the scary thing is I don't actually say some of the things that I think. Imagine how scary they are.
That feels like a ped after dark. Ped opens up. The truth.
I'm just gonna open my curtains. It's very much after dark here. Thanks, mate.
It's almost the day.
It's gone 2:00. There you go. Right. Thank you for listening and watching. If you are watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. If you want to join us on our Discord, get over to our socials at Nerds Social Club. Come and join the Discord. Something's going on all the time. Whether you've been watching Peacemaker or whether you've been watching Reacher or whatever you've been doing or whether you want to do
Tommy
crack the theories like we've been doing tonight, join us on our Discord. There you go. We'll be back soon, maybe next week, depending on our state of minds. There you go. We'll see you soon.